and roll.
You got faced by the Demonic Machine Show. Beep, 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 beep. 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Pacific, Standard, Eastern.
And all the other times too, because the whole world is time zones. Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you want to see? Oh, you know what? I forgot to do it. Should we make a post on Instagram that says we're live now?
Oh yeah. I'll do it. I'll do that.
I got you.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I just thought of that. And I'm like, wait a sec. Some people are probably expecting us on Instagram because they don't read.
Yeah. I what's okay.
Oh, we got Babylon Sun.
All right, cool. Fantastic.
Let's see. Add to stream?
Yeah. Is this view
Are
good
you
for
there?
you guys? Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we got you.
Yes. I'm a little
What
bit.
is up, my friend?
Hey,
Nothing
what's up,
much.
guys? So we're on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch at Demonic Machines. So head over there. Sorry, I had to let people on Instagram know what was going on because, well, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the show since it started, but it's been very like by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
But yeah. So do we want to get started?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm wearing my old man glasses because I went and watched the ball game today. My eyes are all strained and I can't see. I'm blind as it is.
I always wear my old man glasses. It's all good. Looks like we got Rift Mountain. What up, Sam? Welcome to the chat. So let me just run over what we got for loose structure here today. So our guest, in case anybody isn't familiar, is our friend Homer Keys from Babylon Sun. Master of many things, a magician, a mathematician, and a mathemagician, all rolled up into one. Our topic of the day is music, pretty general, but I think that we can expand into several different sections of that general topic as well. And we got some surprises as well that we'll see a little bit later on, not too far later on. But yeah, unless there's anything that anybody wants to add, I was gonna ask Homer to take it off. Maybe tell us a little bit about the background of Babylon Sun, maybe some socials, and if there's anything else that you wanted to start off with.
Oh gosh, we don't have enough time to really get into real in depth because this journey is almost so surreal to be real. Where I've come from. But
Yeah.
I'll make it really condensed if other folks have caught me on other shows and stuff. But it's basically I come I born in California, came to Arkansas when I'm 5. Grew up in the middle of the woods, didn't have electricity or running water for 5 years, so we had all that. So we lived it pretty much. My dad was a Vietnam vet. Mom wasn't a hippie, but she was real close. But anyways, but we moved here. And my dad's family were country bluegrass type people, and my mom's family were all hardcore rockers. My grandma was a drummer.
Combination.
Yeah, my aunts and uncles were drummers and singers and rockers and stuff. And dad's side of the family were all pretty much country. Him being Vietnam vet, he liked some rock, like Vietnam rock, like Creedence and that kind of thing, Iron Butterfly. But he's mainly old school, real country stuff. So. He would give me he supported my music, but he gave me a lot of, I don't know if I can cuss on here, but a lot of crap anyways, growing up about the kind of music I listened to. He was real big on having a lot of melody and verses and songs. And he would be real quick to point stuff out. It's like, that sucks because it only has 2 verses. And I was like, well, still music, Dad, but he was that guy. So I came up in that background. And so since I grew up here, if you didn't play 2-step, classic rock or classic country, you didn't get a gig, or you got burnt at the stake, that kind of stuff. So I I hate to say this, I sold out just to make money to buy gear, and stuff. But I actually enjoyed playing that stuff. I got to where I really loved it. My mom always taught me, listen to everything, and appreciate, don't judge it, until you've really deep dived and see if it's for you. So she was really awesome like that. She led me down the right path of not being, like a lot of folks when they're talking about genres and subgenres. If it's not a certain genre, it sucks. I'm open minded to anything, and everything in my life. I give things multiple chances before I say, nah, it's not for me, and I'll never talk bad about it. But anyways, fast forward to this time and age. I had gotten out of playing country rock because I was playing in like 4 different bands that were very successful while working a couple jobs, normal day jobs. So I never slept, and then did really good at that. Made quite a bit of money at it, and but I got burned out and I quit for about, I'd say about 6 years almost. Didn't touch an instrument, and then out of the blue, just before COVID hit, I had some friends that I'd played in the past, kind of like just for fun, some kind of like a blues, rock, metal stuff that they hit me up and wanted me to come out of retirement and just do stuff that we wanted to do. And I said, okay. So I joined in, and we started off with the idea of being a blues rock, real swampy blues rock thing. And I was all about that, I told him, I said, my deal is I want it to be blues rock, but I want it to be heavy. And I didn't know anything about this term yet. I'm going to get judged on this because I'm so far behind the times. Just because where I was raised, I didn't have a whole lot of influences outside, of like what sludge, doom, and all that stuff is. To me, it was all rock and roll or rock, RAWK, or acid rock. But anyways, that's what it was to me. Of course, I had growing up in the 90s. I'd heard I never played it out, but I always listened to Dio, Megadeth, that kind of thing, at home, just because I couldn't get away with it playing anywhere and no one wanted to hear it, and it was, so I was kind of sheltered like that. It kind of sucked. But anyways, I wanted the idea, if we were going to do this, I wanted it to be heavy and I wanted it to be swampy, like that scene down on Black Snake Moan where you see all the people dancing in the bar and they're swaying around like snakes. I said, I want to make music like that, but I want it to be heavy, bluesy, heavy stuff. And so we did that for a while in my garage before we moved into what I call the Doom Dungeon. And one day my drummer goes, because I was struggling to find out who I was, because coming from the country rock background and then trying to do this kind of thing, I had no idea what I was doing. I was either playing one song was either progressive metal or some kind of alternative metal, that kind of thing. And I couldn't make a decision where direction I wanted to go. And my drummer goes, you do know, because we'd wrote several songs or pieces of songs and had several almost done. And he was like, you know what this is, don't you? And I said, no. He goes, have you ever heard of Doom or Sludge or Stoner? And I said, no. And he started laughing at me, I think, and he goes, check these guys out. He texted me real quick, and then as soon as he texted me, and they're still my favorites, and I'm real bad. Once I get on a band, I'm stuck on them. I can't get away from them. It's like Sons of Otis. I don't know if you guys have listened to them. Black Rainbows, Dixie Goat, or some big ones for me that I listen to all the time. I got some local bands here in the Fayetteville area. That one's called Mudlung, and they were like the really driving force. I said, ooh, I want to be like them. They're friends of mine and they rock. The lead singer is the bass player that has this big old stack of Sons and stuff like that, and PV amps, and really, really, really blew my mind. It wasn't so much, there was some technical stuff in it because I came from that background too. I went through the whole Steve Vai, John Petrucci mess growing up. Thankful I did, just for good for my hands, but nobody wants to dance to that. But that kind of stuff, yeah, you know what I mean? But, so what really caught my attention was the vibe, the tone, and the way it made me feel when I felt that the wall of sound hit me. And then it was like a flashback to when I was 12 years old, sitting in my bedroom on a Saturday, listening to Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, jamming along to that. And it reminded me of what it was, how fun it was to just play. And then that's what started this whole mess with the whole Babylon Sun idea of recording and doing this kind of music. I'm still struggling on the subgenres. I get called out all the time just because to me they're so close in a lot of ways. I step over the boundaries, and I can emulate a lot of them. So whenever I write, I have elements of each into each song I do. So there's a good chance you'll start off a doom song and it'll end up being a sludge or whatever, a drone metal thing, and that's just how I roll. And I've never been one to, even though I've worked for the man several times, Homeland Security and that kind of stuff. I've never been one to follow the rules. I hate rules. I like breaking barriers, and I'm the stand up for the underdog, that kind of person. So I do what I want because it makes me happy now, and if other people dig what I'm doing, that's cool too. And I always love talking about it. So yeah, that's kind of the rough thing where we're at right now. So if you look at the Instagram page and the Facebook page, mainly Instagram, I don't mess a whole lot with Facebook these days, or YouTube. I know I should, but there's so much negativity on both. I try to stay away from it as much as possible. And then I just deal with the Instagram. And you'll see that I'll categorize this as doom, sludge, stoner, drone, funeral doom, ambient, and a new genre that I'm really digging. And you might have seen some of my crazy videos is harsh noise. I'm really getting off on that stuff really bad, So, and I come from a IT background, and I was always that kid that whenever dad or mom wasn't around, I was tearing something apart. When we had electricity, I'd tear something apart, put it back together, and plug it into a wall. And thank God for circuit breakers. Thank God for circuit breakers, because I should be dead right now.
We almost lost. Imagine a world without that. I wouldn't want to, that's for sure.
Right.
I did want to follow up with that actually and ask, because I was mentioning earlier when I was talking to Lucky about you have some wild music videos out there, my friend. Is there anything that you wanted to, any video in particular you'd be interested in recommending people check out first for their dipping their toes?
If you want to know, well, let me back up time travel a little bit back to my mom. She was such an influence on all of this. Without her, I wouldn't be here as far as physically and mentally and musically. But she was a lover of music, like I said, but she was also a lover of movies, especially horror and sci-fi. So by the time, whenever we were able to get electricity, it was nothing but that in our house. And my dad hated it, growing up. He hated that kind of stuff, but she was a force to be reckoned with. And I think she knew what she was doing, because her family are artists and musicians. So she was planting seeds. So I love what got me started on the love of cinema and making weird videos was her showing me all the classics, all the B movies, sci-fi, horror, and being entranced. I knew I wanted to be a musician. I didn't have the talent, but I had the drive and fire at that young age. But I knew I wanted to do eventually someday get into like the sounds and movie score stuff, because I was so drawn into like let's just say like Night of the Living Dead or any of those weird B movie or horror movies where you had that eerie synthesizer or whatever the hell it was there that would blow out your eardrum all of a sudden. That caught my attention. I love that kind of weird sound effects. Eventually, if I ever kind of sort of retire from the music thing, I want to do music for like B movies or stuff like that, short film. I would love to get into that. Maybe video game.
Give me just one sec. You're good. Keep talking. I just got to fix something.
All right. So I would go to my YouTube page, Babylon Sun, and go to the very beginning, because I was recording a lot of videos when I first started this. Whenever I would record a video, manipulate it, and make it look all sci-fi horror film. And they were just simple things like insects crawling or worms or whatever I could find on my property here. And then I would go and manipulate it, make it look creepy as hell. Then I would sit there and then write a live score to it as I was watching it. So I would recommend that if you want to check that out. And of course, we got 2 singles out, Golden Dawn and Nebuchadnezzar. I shot most of that film, manipulated most of it, and then I sent it off to my producer, Jeremiah Johnson, I think Stem Cells Productions. I think he's going through a name change right now. And then he would glue it together a little bit better for me, and then add a little spice to it. So that's those are the things I would recommend, especially, or you can check it on Instagram. You can go all the way to the very first videos. You'll have to dig because I try to make content at least once a day or so that they're varied. But there was I called them like the insect series. I would take and I would find insects and then make little mini horror films and then creepy music behind it and stuff. So that kind of snowballed into some other things. And then while I'm trying to do with the guys trying to do this album, we're trying to release at least 5 more, and then we're going to pursue going either or vinyl or cassette, along with digital,
I think those are good options, especially nowadays. There's I think there's a renewed interest in what people would consider vintage or retro music formats, because cassettes are definitely big right now, but vinyl's the biggest one. But there's one that I've been seeing that I never thought I'd see come back, and that's 8-track. The question is, when are we going to be able to get Babylon Sun on 8-track?
That would be awesome. That would be really awesome. I love 8-track. That's one of my favorite mediums. If I could, I'd probably hang myself, but I love vinyl would be number one. Oh gosh, vinyl would be number one. 8-track would be second, because
that would be awesome.
My mother, she got me, like those yard sale stereos that had the record player, cassette, and an 8-track back in the day. And I wish I had it still, but I had one. I can't remember what brand it was, but you could stick the 8-track in and it would loop. It would never stop. It'd play through all the tracks and keep going. I remember growing up, I was obsessed with a John Lee Hooker's Greatest Hits. And it was an 8-track, and I had it on there, and I played it for months in my bedroom at night so I could sleep. My little brother slept with me. And one day I come home from school, and that 8-track was on the floor. Every bit of it was ripped out. He got so pissed. He said, "Enough of this." So he destroyed it. But yeah, 8-track would be epic. It's something I definitely want to look into if we can afford it, or find out who's doing it. That is such an awesome thing. The tonal.
I could look into it if you want.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
the tonal.
Because there's I can't remember, and I'm gonna look like a jerk for saying this, but because I forgot his name. There's this one dude from a band called I think it's Stone Deep. They just put their album, or I think it may be an EP, out on 8-track. I could try to reach out to them and see if they could give me any suggestions for you, and we could go from there.
Awesome. That'd be awesome. Even though I don't have one these days, but growing up as kids, I always had an 8-track floating around. I drove a lot of vintage cars. I would have in my Trans Ams, they'd always have an 8-track in it, and I'd have something in it, playing, because 8-track to me, it's a toss up between, really honestly, between vinyl and 8-track. 8-track to me is so much warmer in a lot of ways to a lot of other things, and darker. I'm attracted to darker tones. So yeah, that would be awesome, 8-track. And then, but I'd have to find some kind of player. I bet that could be done.
They're actually, I think that they're how I can't remember what the store was, but there's a bunch of places that sell those record cassette player AM FM radio combos. I think that's going to be the next thing that's probably going to get big again in the recreational music market, is because I've even seen people, and this is real weird because I wasn't planning on talking about this at all, but I've actually seen a lot of DIY how to tape your own 8-track stuff on Instagram from it's like little punk bands, and they're showing how you can use a magnetic part to erase the tape, and then you can just pop it in and record your stuff. And it's really interesting to consider as an option these days, especially DIY. Because I know cassettes ruled the roost for a very long time. I mean, people used to do that to try and kill the music industry in the 80s, right?
Right.
Now let me see. I wanted to see Now, since we're doing something new this week, I think we're streaming YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. I was going to ask if you wanted to just list your socials. So anybody that's watching, if they wanted to follow up with any of your releases or your music, or just, get their daily dose of the Babylon Sun, if you wanted to list any of your socials off.
Yeah, so it's definitely it'll be not as good, but it's definitely on Facebook, Babylon Sun, Facebook, and then Instagram's my main one, and then YouTube, I believe it's under the Babylon Sun is what the handle is on there, and it's got quite a few things and maybe a few other things that the Instagram stuff doesn't have. To rewind a little bit, I got kind of lost there. Before I started the Babylon Sun page, I had, much like the Rift Mountain, I had Doom Dungeon riffs because of this room. I was making little pedal reviews and stuff, and I finally realized that I was putting a lot of the same content on both the Babylon Sun and that one. So I've kind of put that one on the back burner for now. My producer friend I have we're kind of going to morph that page, the Doom Dungeon riffs page, into it's called Doom Dungeon Productions now, but it's going to be more of back to like the Rift Mountain, plus a place where people can throw their ideas on, like a community thing, more of a community thing, along with, like demos and stuff, on there. So you can find some stuff on that page. It's called Doom Dungeon Productions if you want to check some stuff. There's some videos on there because I tried to separate it as much as I could, and then finally it started running out of time, so I could only put it on one page at a time. So if people want to really if they want to deep dive, I would say deep dive the early YouTube, go to the very beginning and the very beginning of Doom Dungeon Productions if you want to see some crazy stuff. Go ahead.
I was gonna say for your like sci-fi, more soundtrack out there stuff, is that also on the same YouTube, or is there a separate page and stuff for that?
Yeah, it's on the same YouTube. It's actually the very first videos I posted, and there's probably at least 10 or 15 videos. They're not really long, but they're long enough to get the idea, and I'm wanting to get back into that. I've upgraded some of my recording video gear that I'm going to start getting back into that, because that's kind of my passion too, is the photography and the cinema stuff, so we have plans this spring and this summer, possibly even doing a couple of short films, some horror short films.
That's going to be something to look forward to for sure. Definitely, if you can, when you have any of the information on that, let me know, and I'll be happy to share it on my page.
Awesome. Will do.
Now, I did want to loop Lucky in on this. Now, Homer, I don't know if you're familiar, but Lucky actually has a new amplifier, and I wanted to give Lucky the stage so Lucky could try to explain it better, because I'm not really good with all the instrument amp stuff. I just enjoy using them and the sounds they produce. But Lucky, if you're more than ready, we're happy to hear you and listen about this freshness you're about to bestow on our ear holes.
Yeah. Am I gonna demo it for you? I thought I would just pick it up and show you and talk about it.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. That's it.
I don't have it mic'd up or anything. So.
Oh, that's all good.
Oh.
Well, listen. You gotta give them enough to get them interested, so that they make the jump, so they can hear how it sounds. They'll just go off of your expert description.
So this is based on a Gibson GA5. It's a 5-watt tube amplifier. It gets pretty loud. Like, you could fill a small venue with this. It's got one knob, volume, and you get about right here, you start to get that really nice tube breakup. It's got 2 input jacks and an on-off switch. It's also got this beautiful red glitter Tolex with golden grill cloth. I designed it this way because I was like, what would the Devil's Kicker amp look like? And that's kind of what I came up with. But so this is the 521. It's the first in hopefully more amps hopefully I want to produce more amps, but this is the first. So check it out if you want. And hopefully there should be some demos up soon of it.
Yes.
But yeah.
And Rift Mountain's asking who makes that. Well, your friend over at Demonic Machine, of course.
Yeah.
Why else would we talk about it? Oh my gosh, come on! Like, I'm just joking. Just joking.
Yeah.
He must be having too much of that Canadian cabbage.
Listen, that's part of their food pyramid, okay? Like it's an important piece of your daily ingestion of nutrients and things like that.
I'm just kidding. I love that guy. He's awesome.
Oh, of course. I'm yet to meet someone who doesn't, but staying on topic because I lose track very easily. Lucky question, not necessarily from the chat, but I've had people that ask me, because I've been doing the show with you. Some people have expressed interest in like a modular head, kind of like how Orange has the tiny little lunchbox heads and stuff like that. Something where they could use their own cabinet. Is there something like that possibly in the future from Demonic Machines?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like,
never say never.
Yeah, never say never. I mean, this all started because I was just tinkering around, and like the first thing I built was one transistor overdrive that was like just the simplest thing, and now I'm building digital / analog flangers, with real bucket brigade chips and like stuff like that. So, I mean, who knows? Like, I might come out with, like something like a Dark Terror or a Tiny Terror or something like that. Oh, yeah, there's the flanger. Let's move it up. Yeah, there's the flanger.
Keep that amazing artwork on here by my buddy over there. Great work. This made me retire from my design work. Sorry, Tim, at Bardic Audio. I can't design anymore. Lucky put me to shame. This thing's amazing, by the way. I just wanted to mention that. I got this in the other day, and I've been playing with it, and there's tons of surprises, and it does all the stuff you expect, plus way more. And I'm keeping it intentionally vague so that you try one yourself. But take my word for it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. It works.
Super interested in that for sure.
It's
I
amazing.
love flange. I love flanger chorus and phaser. For sure.
I'll tell you what. When I first played with this, I thought it had those 3 separate things in it individually that you could knob yourself, but I don't want to give away the secret sauce,
Gotcha.
It's been a long time in the making. We're brewing these potatoes to make tomatoes, which makes no sense, but trust me, it makes sense if you don't think about it.
I love what's the word, like a utility thing like that, where it's got it all piled in to save space on the board, that kind of thing, for sure.
I have one thing. Actually, this rolls into something I was going to ask Lucky, so we'll just do this. So we mentioned utility pedal. Earthquaker Devices has one. It's the Swiss thing, but it lacks a very important thing in it, which is a tuner. Which, if I remember from our previous discussion, Lucky, we were discussing the Demonic Machines tuner boost, which has 2 things everybody needs in a pedal board, is a boost and a tuner. So if only we could make a buffer dual looper with a tuner boost and name it something like the Lucky Special Sauce or something. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm just a guy making thoughts, putting things into the universe, hoping they become real.
You look like you're just like tripping and the whole universe is like melting in front of you. Like,
I got candles too. Ooh, I'm not gonna light my beard this time.
Yeah, don't do that.
But yeah, utility pedals. That's actually a really good, a good part to start with, because I think There's two that I can name that Lucky has available right now. One of which is actually the corn buffer, if I'm not mistaken. And then the other one I think is the Hulk booster, which is also really cool as well. If I'm naming it correctly. If not, we're going to edit that part out, even though this is live. Trust me, we got futuristic technology at Demonic Machines. We know how to do things. Don't ask questions. You might find out. But yeah, is that right? The Hulk booster and the corn buffer, right?
What about them?
I would consider those utility. Oh, I would consider those utility pedals, right?
Yeah, I mean so a boost. I mean, a boost can be a lot of things. It can be an extra gain stage. It can be, a volume boost. It can be the thing that pushes your amp into overdrive. It can be a lot of. So, I wouldn't. It could be considered a utility. But,
with the tuner built into it, it will be.
Say that again?
I said with the tuner built into it, it's going to be a utility pedal.
Yeah, that's true. If I built a tuner into it, it would be a utility pedal. But
I'm going to keep pushing that. I'm going to pay you to make me one.
I'll figure out a tuner eventually, one day. It may be in 30 years, when did Electro Harmonics put out their tuner? In 2020? So...
Yeah, that's really strange. I didn't even realize. Why didn't they have a tuner in the beginning? Any ideas, Homer? Why didn't Mike Matthews think of that?
Because probably for the most part, fuzz is the only thing that matters. Maybe, I don't know. In his world,
that is true. To Mike Matthews, for sure, though. Damn, he stumped me again. We're gonna have to put a limit on guests. I don't think Homer can make me look bad anymore. All right.
Oh, so, I'm sorry, dude.
I'm just playing. I'm playing.
It's the beard. It's the beard. By the way, you guys think this thing drives me crazy? Would a person in my boat lose followers if I cut my beard off? I'm not going to do it. It's just something, would they give me less street cred if I didn't have the beard in this genre?
That's a good question. I think I think that if your talents are adequate enough and people enjoy you for what you do, it shouldn't matter what you look like. But let's be honest. We've all at some point, I know I've shaved and then immediately regretted it because my face does not look how I want it to look. And then I just pray for the beard to come back as quick as possible. My biggest issue, and I don't mind being clean shaven. At one point, I almost used Nair, but somebody slapped the shit out of me and said, "You don't do that," which I still don't know why. So I might find out one day. But I just hated the. Well, yeah, that's probably it. It's the ingrown hairs. That was the biggest problem I always had. So that's why I just got lazy, to be honest with you. I just trim it down once it gets too big and I just let it grow out because it's easier. It's the same with these things. They started as something. Now they're just there.
Yes.
It works. They look cool. I keep them clean.
I would scare people away because I look like a cop when I'm clean shaven.
Ooh, that's
I
a
got
bad
this
look.
whole thing. Either a biker or a cop,
I think more towards biker.
Yeah. I'm kind
biker,
of
you got that ambiguousness.
Right. So people they usually leave me alone, and I'm cool with that,
Yeah. Who wants to be bothered by cops?
Right.
Yeah. I certainly don't. That's for sure. If the FBI is watching, hello, I love you. Please don't arrest me. Oh, that's right. Where were we? I forget. I write stuff down when this happens because I lose my brain and I start to turn into jello. Now, did you do your homework today, Homer? Did you put together a rig to show us, like a pedal board or an amp setup? I see an amp in the back.
A lot like Lucky's. I don't use this guy much, although I should. I built that with some friends about 30 years ago. That's how old I am. It started off as a Plexi JTM 45 clone, and then we added some more elements of JCM 800 in there. So it is a bastard in there. But the guy that helped me build it, eventually one day he wants to blueprint it again because it shouldn't sound as good as it does. So I don't use that a whole lot because my whole idea with the whole Babylon Sun thing is I'm kind of like the father figure to younger musicians. I have this because I'm a dad kind of thing, and I grew up wanting things. I'd read in the magazines, oh, I got to have this to be legit, blah, blah, blah. So my whole thing was when I started this, even though these are great amps, I wanted to use stuff people thought was crap, like the old Peavies and that kind of thing, or even some Boss pedals, that are, oh, that's garbage, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, but so
totally not
yeah,
guilty in that one.
Yeah, so when I'm recording, especially in the early days of Babylon Sun, I have a wall of 1978 Mark III PV solid state heads that sound phenomenal, and I'm playing them through a 1960s Sun 215 cabinet over here. I might be able to. Let's do this.
Every time people talk about Sun, for some reason, I get happy because that's what I use most of the time, if I can. Mainly their cabinets, which could have completely different speakers in them. There we go. Everyone direct your attention to the Peavies.
So
yeah,
these are bad to the bone. They're still affordable. Get them while you can because they are going up in value. And then there's that guy right there.
The beast.
Can't remember what I traded for this, but on the back of it, I would love to know. It's got stenciled on the back of it. Another band owned it, and the band name is Mayhem on the back of that Sun cabinet. So I've always wondered, is there a connection? Could it be the same band? I don't know how it would have made it here to Arkansas. Maybe it was too expensive to travel, or somebody stole it, but it is definitely, it's a late '60s model at least. Also, this little guy here, I've got the matching head to it. This has been a phenomenal cabinet. I don't even know what's on the inside. I haven't torn it apart, but I do know it's a folded speaker, Randall type thing. And I've got the base or the head in my garage. It needs some repairs. I'm working on it. But it's got the matching cap or matching head to its bad to the bone. This guy's got a little bit of provenance to it. I've grown up where I did. My cousins owned a music store. So they had all kinds of Peavies. They were a Peavy dealer. And so I had them growing up, and I always thought they were crap because everybody in the neighborhood had them. So now I've made full circle. And I probably own more Peavy amps than anything else. I still own my Marshall stuff and my Bad Cat stuff from my rock days and stuff, my country rock days. But I don't play them just because I don't want to influence a kid to think that he or she has to spend $1,500, $2,000 to get a good sound.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that I never thought about when it comes to price point. Because I know that I definitely was influenced when I was younger about seeing stuff that artists I enjoyed using that were much more expensive for sure. Yeah, I never even really thought about that. That's actually a pretty good idea. I was going to say, when you were talking about the quote unquote crappy cheap stuff, I was going to say, hey, don't talk smack about my crate 4x12.
They've got a purpose. They've got their own sound. The reason why a lot of people think they're crap is because they're so used to hearing the recordings of vintage 30s, Greenbacks and Marshalls or whatever. It's pumped in our ears 24/7 when we listen to the radio. And my whole thing too is I wanted to be different, make it sound as good as I could and be different and not be, I've got a problem with cookie cutter things, even though Marshall and all that stuff's killer. I love the weird, because I usually get a better tone, for me anyways. I'm going to show you the pedal board as much as I can. I wish I could figure out how to turn this camera around so I could people are blowing up my phone. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm getting blown up as well.
Let's see. I'll just point down and hopefully you can see it. This is, of course, Prognostic pedals. I'm endorsed by a few folks, and I'm really surprised because all the years I played on stages, opening up for some pretty cool bands, I never got as far as endorsements as I am now. It blows my mind because I don't play as Babylon Sun hadn't played a show yet, but we will eventually. But we've done it all on Instagram and media, making our music and releasing it that way. And so these companies are hitting me up and liking what I do, which is awesome. But before I take an endorsement, and I know that sounds crazy, people out there, they've got to be cool people, or I'll usually say thanks, but no thanks. If you're an asshole to people, I don't want to deal with you because I don't want my name associated with negativity like that.
100%.
But anyways, so I've got a few pedals that don't come off here, and some of the others rotate. My main signature fuzz, Babylon Sun fuzz, doesn't come off, and then my Haunted Labs Dark Aura doesn't come off. And there's one other prototype that started the friendship with the Prognostic pedals. I don't even know what it is. All I know is that it blew my mind when I got it. He told me it was just a throwaway idea, and he just sent it to me to try out, and I fell in love with it. But anyways, here's the setup right now. Hopefully you can see all that. It's pretty. It's of course, like I said, stuff changes on this, so it does change from time to time. But this guy right here, that's the I think that's the first production model. Of course, this pedal was 2 years in the making. It's got a fuzz circuit here. It's got a boost here. It's kind of like a green ringer type thing. It also has an effects loop where I can blend in other pedals, which this guy's in the effects loop, so I can blend in like have 3 different sounds, if I want right there. Fell in love with this thing. This was in a Guitar Center for 2 years, and I was eyeballing it, and I didn't even know what it was until I realized that it was a green muff, and I bought it super cheap. And there was like only 150 of these made, so that's really cool. It's a Mojo hand back before John Cusack bought the company. This is a company, a small company. They're up and coming. Some kids out of Oklahoma, real close to me, TA Pedals. This is called the Vampire Squid. I believe this one is oh my gosh, I'm losing it. It's a, let me think what this is. I think it's a rat. I think it's a rat with different selections of either diodes or germanium, that kind of stuff. And then there's the Old Rune by Haunted Labs. I don't even know what that. I've never asked Chris what that thing is. It's pretty cool. It gets gnarly. And then there's the one that kind of started everything, and I don't know what that is. And then this guy here, if you guys haven't tried this guy, I recommend that all day long. That guy that's a modulated reverb. It's what I like about it is it leaves a lot of ghost trails, kind of like if you can remember the Holy Grail, that flurb part, but it'll do that, but a lot more and cooler and darker. Its cousin is over here. It's called the Park Theater. That goes to a good cause. If you buy that, a certain percentage goes to the Park Theater that John Cusack is really passionate about. It's sort of like this guy, but a brighter version. This guy's like being in that. They tried to emulate the reverb sounds in that theater. And then speaking of flange, I threw this on here because it was a utility pedal, because this guy right here, it gets all kinds of crazy different versions. The only bad thing is it's kind of noisy and it drops the signal some, and it may or may not stay on there. But that's the rig for right now. But definitely this guy, and this guy here don't come off right now.
I'll tell you one thing that I see wrong with that pedal board. You want to know what it is?
Yes.
You don't have a corn buffer on there.
I know. I don't have any
corn buffer on their pedal board.
I've been following Demonic for a long time, and I'm sorry I haven't got anything yet. But raising got a kid going to college and a 12-year-old, it's tough to spread the love to everybody, but I will get to you, I promise.
Hey, trust me, I got 2 right now, and it's always a challenge when you got mouths to feed, regardless of if it's children, friends, elderly parents, whatnot. But No, we're just joking. I just advocate every chance I get for people to put one of Lucky's pedals on their board because I have
Oh,
the
yeah.
flanger. I was going to recommend you should pick up the flanger because the one thing that I did notice is when I turn it on, there's definitely a lot more clarity to my signal, and it almost feels like I'm putting it through an awesome machine, and it just makes everything that comes through it sound so much better. So I think everyone would benefit from having an Electric Kisses flanger on their board and a corn buffer, if not two, and
I
the
agree.
Lucky Special Sauce Tuner Boost combo pedal. Patent pending, coming soon, maybe.
I'm gonna do a sweep. I'm gonna do a sweep through of the room. People always ask. This was a major selling point when we bought the place. The original house, is built in 1906, but it had one of the oldest rooms is a little bit older, and it's what sold it to me. We were going to turn this into our wine cellar until COVID hit, and then I decided to turn it to a makeshift studio. But it's called the Doom Dungeon, and what it is a cylindrical room made out of rock. And it's totally cylindrical. And at one time, it was twice as high as what it is now. It looks a little rough right now because I've been doing some tinkering in here and stuff and experimentation. But this is what it looks like. It's got, you can see those old rafters and stuff. Now, the main part of the house is so old that underneath the house, instead of regular lumber, it's logs. They got hewn logs underneath the house. That's how old it is.
Nice.
So it's definitely got a vibe, for sure. Yeah, it's big enough to get at least a 3-piece in here, and I've had more in here before.
Making me miss my dungeon.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. This is definitely where I spend most of my days. This is where my solitude, and I do a lot of my writing in here and stuff. And not to mention, only is it cool because of the vibe in here, the sound. I love the sound in here. If we ever move, I told my wife I'm going to, whenever I build a studio, we're going to emulate this room. We're going to build the exact same structure, either put the drums or a vocal thing in here.
That'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as I have on the itinerary, there was one more thing I wanted to follow up with you, Homer, and then the last one's going to be all of us. Your Nebuchadnezzar video.
Uh-huh.
I know we touched on it earlier, but for anyone that might be curious, would you be able to go just not too far beneath the surface, but just a touch below the surface about the concept and how you made the video look as cool as you did?
Yeah. Okay. So the concept is, if definitely stole the story. Well, the whole Babylon Sun, at least this first record, is going to be based on Babylonian folklore, Egyptian folklore, gods, demons, legends. And so whenever I come up with this idea, it was, I come from, even though I'm not these days, I was always in the church and stuff growing up as a kid. My mom was Catholic, but not practicing. So her and my dad ended up in a whole bunch of churches, growing up as kids, either Baptist or Pentecostal or whatever. But I always thought those stories were the craziest things. And I'm gonna not get offensive or anything to anybody, but they blew my mind how someone could live 600 years old, that kind of thing. So it sparked some interest. So fast forward to now, when I'm trying to think of ideas, for this concept album. First one that popped up out of my head was Nebuchadnezzar. If you want to read some crazy stories, go back and read Bible or history or whatever about that dude. And he kind of inspired it. And, and I didn't tell you this part, but the way I write is that usually it doesn't come at the same time. I'll either have the riff first or the words first. Well, this one, I had the song laid out, but I had no words. So what I would do is put on my earbuds, and we have 4 acres that I mow with a push mower too, because I exercise a lot. So I put in my earbuds and I turned on that track with no vocals or anything on it, just the rhythm tracks on it. And I started thinking up of ideas and stuff, and all of a sudden Nebuchadnezzar popped up, and then all of a sudden lyrics started happening, and then the visuals started happening all at once. So that's how that kind of happened. If you listen to that song, I recommend listening to it with earphones or really good speakers. You can't catch it on the on your phones. There's a lot of hidden Easter eggs on there. If you listen close enough, there's some vocals and some passages being said underneath. Same with the video. Now in the video, I had a concept on that, and I did most of my, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but I did most of my video shots with an old iPhone 6, and then I just manipulated. I didn't buy any fancy software. I just used all the native phone app, camera app to manipulate the video. And then I sent all that raw data over to my producer Jeremiah, and he ran it through some other stuff and added just a little bit of stuff to slice them together to make the smoother transitions. Golly, I'm trying to think now. I've done so many videos. Nebuchadnezzar, I believe that's the one where I'm on the slab. There's a slab on our property. We bought it. We have large rock slabs, like little mini Stonehenge stuff. A lot of rock structures that whoever owned this place had rocks. I mean, like cut chiseled rock, and you'll see in the video I'm laying on one, and it looks like I'm fixing to be sacrificed, but in fact, I'm dead on there, and I've got the coins on my eyes ready to go across the ferry, and then I come to life. So it's really weird. You should have seen my gosh, he would have been 10 or 11 at the time. My son watching me do this stuff in a cloak, and where I live, we call it, even it's called Fayetteville, but we call it Vietnam because the humidity and the mosquitoes are so bad. Gotcha. So it's like I was getting eat alive doing these video shoots out there, but I was just laying there taking it like a champ.
It doesn't even look like that though. That's the thing. Like you're saying you shot it and edited it on an iPhone, and I was watching it and I'm like, okay, there's got to be like a Nikon or maybe some sort of a Canon Rebel or something going on here. No. But I'm also, I assume everything that anybody else does is like way higher quality than anything I do on my own. So that's where I'm at. But what I'm trying to say is it looked good. And the reason I wanted to dive into the concept is because exactly why you said, because this album's going to be based on like Babylonian stuff and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I think Nebuchadnezzar is one that even if people aren't familiar with the Bible, they've definitely heard that name somewhere before. Like I remember a long time ago, I thought it was just like kind of like a Gandalf type of thing. And I'm like, oh, Nebuchadnezzar, who?
Oh yeah.
But I was just a little kid, and I'm like, okay, whatever, that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the iPhone thing. Yeah, the iPhone thing. You don't need. That's proof right there. If you watch that video, is it the best? No, but it's creative and it looks good in my opinion. Use what you got. Figure out how to use what you have, and quit wasting time lusting over stuff that may or may not help you create. As a matter of fact, I still have that iPhone that I use for other things. Have you guys caught that video where I'm playing the synthesizer thing?
I think I've seen that one.
That's the phone that I shot it on.
Okay.
So I use it for everything. So it can be done. Now I grew up in a household. Now my dad was also, among many things, he was an engineer. He played fiddle, banjo, and all that kind of stuff. But he was also a woodworker, hardcore master woodworker. But he was also a photographer. So we had killer cameras once we could afford them growing up in like the late 80s, we had that. So, but I'm going to try to stay away from, as long as I can, having the fancy high def Nikons or whatever, Yeah. And I want to do it with what I have,
And I definitely like that about your approach is it's basically like, hey, look what I can do with basic stuff. If you really want to do something and you have an idea, just go for it. I mean, the worst that's going to happen is you put it online and somebody's like, this looks like crap. But guess what?
Right.
It's you doing something you enjoy, something that you love, that brings you a happiness that nobody else really can. And it's something that you shouldn't let anybody take away from you. And also, Riff Mountain says that's the ship from the Matrix. Okay. That's where I heard the name Nebuchadnezzar from before. Fair enough. All right. The last thing that I have on my agenda here was more or less show and tell, any sort of music suggestions, vinyls, cassettes, anything you have that you want to talk about, or just show off and say, hey, check this out.
So I I have a gazillion. I have several. I don't listen just because I don't have the space in this house yet. My new house, whenever we do get one, it's going to be a listening room where I have my records and stuff hooked up. When we moved in here, I just haven't been able to do it. I have tons of records. I'm a record collector, even if I don't listen to them. So I do a lot of my stuff either on old school CD when I'm traveling in the car, I'll slap it in, or I'll do a lot with my earbuds and turn it on and digital and listen to it. But I do recommend, I wrote some, because I'm that guy too. I have to write stuff down because I'll see a squirrel and then I'm off into La La Land. What I recommend, these are my favorites right now, is check out the Black Rainbows, Dixie Goat, Sons of Otis. I've got some friends, a guy that is a big supporter of these type of musicians here in America. His name's Tommy Stewart. Find him on Instagram, be his friend. He's a producer, record player, musician, plays everywhere. Check out Tommy Stewart's Dire Wolf. That's his band. It's a 2-piece, and he does the whole thing like I do with the black, kind of like was it like Sun with the whole robe thing and everything. And he's a bass player, kick ass.
It's like the Druid thing.
Yeah, he's more than that. He actually cares about the community. Tommy Stewart is the man. He's one of our greatest allies musically, as far as you check him out, and he's always kind, and if he has ideas, he can push you in the right direction. There's also another band that he produces called Grave Next Door. He also produces Grave Huffer, which is, I didn't tell you guys about this, but I also have a page called Firebird Straps. I used to make recycled leather guitar straps, bass straps, and Grave Huffer was one of my first endorsers whenever I was doing that thing, when I had time. And I'll throw in some friends of mine. There's a Reaper's Underground. Check out Reaper's Underground. He's all about this stuff too. And plus more, he's more on the heavier, edgier speed metal side of stuff some. But he's also got his own band. He's got his own band called Iron Serpent. Killer stuff. I love watching their podcast too, because they'll get on, him and a couple of friends will get on and do like their opinion on the best top 5 of Metallica or Rammstein or whoever, and they'll do a breakdown. I love that stuff. I'm a nerd about music and history and stuff like that. If I focused as much on what I'm doing now, I would have 7 albums done. But I love to learn, and I watch other people behind the story stuff.
We all do that, though. That's the thing.
Yes, and luckily my family supports me. And my 12-year-old loves it too. He's like, "Let's watch this," or he'll say, "Turn on JHS so we can see what kind of pedals they're talking about today," that kind of thing.
You gotta start watching our show too.
Yeah, for sure. The other one, the last one I can think of is my nephew's band. They're in basically the Dallas area, and they are kicking ass for a bunch of little kids. It's blowing my mind. They're called Wooden Earth. Check them out. They just Wooden Earth. I think they opened up for Matt Pike's band. They opened up for Crowbar, and they're a bunch of little kids, And I got him started. My nephew started on bass because I play bass too, not as much as I used to, but got him started on Typo Negative licks and Korn riffs, and he took off with it. And then just like me, he studied, who influenced them, and he studied their style, and then all the way back. So he's a student of music. So yeah, check them out. They're unbelievable. The singer is also the drummer. Bad to the bone, blows my mind. It makes me a little jealous, but it makes me proud that I was able to, at least with my nephew, start that spark, and he's by far surpassing me. And that's what we should do as far as musicians, especially the older ones, like pass the torch and be proud of what you helped someone else achieve, that kind of thing, at least in my opinion.
More musicians is always a better thing. And I think more musicians, it's better for pedals as well, because then there's more people to use them and buy them.
Yes. And that being said, I am such a gear whore as far as weird pedals. I like finding the pedals that nobody wants, that are collecting dust for like $40 or whatever, and nobody wants them, and they've been there forever. I'll buy them just to show people you can get a good sound if you just actually sit and listen with your ears instead of watching forums, listening to people say, "Oh, that sucks. Let me grab my teeth," that kind of thing. quit being snobs. Use your damn ears, people. You know.
Absolutely.
Here's one of the records that Gravehopper did. They got several. They're all into vinyl too.
Oh
you know.
shit.
Yeah, and what I love about this, I had to have this one. The reason why I had, because you can tell by I love blue, and I'm also a fan of red.
Nice.
So I had to have this, for sure. So those are my guys that there's so many more, but yeah, definitely that list I rang off is like, definitely check out all those guys. I think Dixie Goat, I think they're out of Brazil, but to hear them sing in English, you wouldn't know.
Huh.
And then they'll turn around and turn the same album, and they'll sing it in Brazilian or whatever they speak there. I don't know.
I think it's Portuguese, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah,
It's
it works. It still works in Portuguese, so it rocks. So I'll find myself going and I'll turn it on and I'll just listen to it all day, and get lost in their music, get sent on a journey.
Absolutely. Well, let's turn it over to Lucky, see what Lucky's got.
I have the Hers Collective. Wait, what is this called? Friends, Lovers, Favorites by the Hers Collective. They're a trans hardcore outfit. Probably some of the most brutal hardcore 3 or 4 years ago, whenever this came out. It's got, this nice art in it. Hold on, let me pull this out. I love this. You can't kill us. So that's a message from the trans community to everyone else. And then
that's badass.
Yeah.
Now, Lucky, is that on the inside or the outside where it has the message?
Oh, it's on the inner sleeve. It's on the inner sleeve
Is that like I didn't know if it was like a flyer or something, or if it's just on the actual album sleeve. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's on the actual sleeve.
I got you. Okay.
But it's a response to, like the disproportionate number of murders of like trans people and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's what I've got. It's a great record. Yeah. And how about you, Deuce?
I actually I'm revisiting. What I was gonna say is after the video posts, you could put a link to that in the description if people wanted to check it out, right?
Yeah, I will do that.
All right, good, because I'm gonna check that out. Now let me see. Yeah, this is following up from when we got into the Residents. This is the Sight for Sore Eyes album. It actually has a vinyl on the inside of it, which is a track called Nobody Knows. Basically, it's like a little 7-inch vinyl of a track that was cut from an album that they were never supposed to release, but their label released it because contractual obligations. So yeah, just another slap in the artist's face, right? Yeah, it was the album was called Not Available, and it was like a really personal concept album that was like out of character for the group at the time for the music they were writing. It was really sophisticated and there was a lot of layers and sorry, I seem to be losing my voice now. But basically they were working on another album, and the whole concept of the recording was theory of obscurity, which means an artist does their best work when they're unaware of what anybody thinks of them and stuff like that. And that album was supposed to sit until the band forgot it existed and then be released. That was the whole concept of it. But then obviously the label's like, you're taking too long on your next album. We got something we're going to put out. You just got to deal with it. And then they put it out. So, that's how it goes. But it is what it is. But yeah, with that, I think it looks like we're just about at the end of our show, maybe a little bit over, right?
Yeah. But,
Can I do a shout out real quick?
Yeah.
You guys are probably familiar with this guy too. Guys, go check out Fuzzamp also. He's a good guy.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had Justice on the other night.
Yeah, he's great. He's up and coming. You know, he's a good person and stuff, and go show him some love as well. Also, too, I'm endorsed by Amp Turco Cables. If you see these kick-ass cables, you know, super
Ooh.
hardcore. You know,
I've been looking at them. Actually, I want to get one definitely.
reach out to his name's Anthony, and you know, I went by just how cool he was. If you guys ever seen my bass, that old Ibanez bass that wasn't running, he tracked down on his own, went and found schematics in German, the only place we can find it, German, and he said, "Here you go." And then we got it up and running, and then we created a friendship, and I loved what he's all about. He's a kick-ass player too. But whenever I got the cable, I had no idea how good it was until I was holding it. It's super high quality. If you guys get a chance, check out Amp Turco. And he also makes like wiring harnesses and other stuff for guitars and stuff, like high dollar stuff, high class stuff, affordable anyways.
Definitely
Really
gotta
good
check
stuff.
that out for sure.
And then I wanted to tell you guys before we get off here, the band name Babylon Sun came to me in a dream. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and I almost swear I heard it whispered in my ear because I was fighting for a band name, and it popped into my head out of nowhere. Had no idea. So
Nice.
It was a vision from Nebuchadnezzar
well,
himself.
yeah, and the name Babylon Sun, I've given it the real meaning behind it is a Babylonian werewolf moon. Is what the Babylon Sun is. It's not like a daytime thing. It's actually a nighttime. That's like supposed to be like this hardcore, at least in the Babylonian or Babylon Sun universe, that will turn somebody that's a werewolf into like an ultra beast type
I
thing.
dig werewolves. Werewolves are cool.
Yeah. So that song's coming out eventually, Babylon Sun. Eventually, it may be not this next one, but the one after.
That's it. Lucky, we just got the name for the boost tuner. It'll be the Werewolf Boost Tuner.
The World Boost Tuner. Okay. I'm down.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you, Homer, for coming on, and Lucky, as always, I appreciate you having me with anybody that you want to have to talk to. Did we have any last minute announcements?
No, I was gonna see if it was cool with you, Homer, if I played the Nebuchadnezzar video as we
Oh, yeah.
go.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yep. And
Okay.
also, guys, if anybody wants to reach out to me, do it. I love talking, and I would love to be back on the show again. There's so much more that we missed that I would love to talk about. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might be able to figure that out. I was actually going to ask while we're on the air, are you opposed to having 4 people, like you and I
No.
and a guest and another guest?
Yeah, I'm all cool like that. We can have as many as we want. Yeah.
Like, wouldn't just for like, we could have a special episode where we have like a panel and we like we go to different people for their specialty in a pedal and be like, what do you think of this pedal? And then we'll go to Homer. Homer will be like, it fucking rips. And pardon my French. And we go to Justice. It's like, Justice, what's up with this pedal? And Justice is like, it fucking rips. And then we're like, Justice, somebody already said that. And Justice is like, I'm not gonna lie, it fucking rips. You know, I'm sorry. I'm getting loopy. But yeah,
I'm all about it. Make it so.
Please
Okay.
lead us.
I can't figure it out.
Oh,
So hold on.
it's all good.
Let me see if I can share screen. And Babylon Sun Nebuchadnezzar share.
Ooh, there we go.
All right.
My whole life has nothing so much light. There's also so much darkness.
my spirit animal right there. Truly amazing.
Oh, thank you. There's so many stories that we could talk about, all the sounds and stuff on that for sure. Eventually, for another time, that I think people would really enjoy. Especially, I was all the vocals, all that was me, and very little manipulation that I know of that like made. Because I used to love as a kid making. I think you're the same way, making emulating voices like Sean Connery and that kind of stuff. So that
I'm the resident clown. It's all good.
yeah, so I do that a lot too. So I love especially that very first intro part where the old man, that's me, and I think I'm emulating. Oh gosh, I can't think of the guy's name. I can't think of it. It wasn't Gandalf, but
I'll tell you what. If you want, you and I can carry on that conversation, because I'm going to be doing something maybe once a month on my live channel where I just talk to people about stuff, and I'm going to just have random people come on and talk about music and shit.
hell yeah.
Pardon my French. And if you want, because I know we got a bunch of people that we got lined up for the show, instead of waiting to come back on to talk about it, you and I could discuss it and follow up there. And then the next time we have you on, we could just round it out. But yeah, I noticed the ticker feed says that we're going to be having Nick Rogers of Dirty Haggard Audio as our guest next week.
Yes.
It's a fantastic surprise. But
I love
with
it.
that,
I love the Arachnid.
With yes, the Arachnid is a bestseller. I recommend everybody get one. I have two. Not everybody can be as cool as me, so it's all good. But get yourself at least one. And on that note, we are almost 20 minutes past our time. We would like to say thank you to Homer for coming on. Thank you to Lucky for hosting the show, as always. And most importantly, thank you to anybody who is watching, has watched, will watch, or wants to watch, but is too busy. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. With that, everyone have a good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Demonic Machines Live.